right, so check this out. The thing that most people don't understand and have never been taught and don't get about Facebook ads is that it's fundamentally different than anything else. It's fundamentally different from any traditional direct response marketing in the way that funnels and optimization happen. So let me give you a quick rundown of what traditional direct response and what I mean by that, because some of you obviously have kind of maybe heard that term, but that's kind of a lot of where the marketing you're learning today is coming from. But it's not necessarily applied to social media directly very well. So let me explain this for a moment. So let's say we've got what I call the engagement continuum, kind of like from the beginning point where they see an ad and they enter to the point where they make a buying decision, okay? So that's from point A to point Z over here, buying decision. And what most traditional funnels and strategies rely on is this type of thinking where you're wanting to get the cheapest click possible, so your ads are very minimal in nature. This comes from having it mostly be, banner advertising, pop-ups, things that just give kind of like a clickbait style, here's a quick promise or, curiosity, right? And it doesn't really work very well for Facebook's algorithm, and I'll get into that. But understand this. So let's say they see your ad, right? And your ad accomplishes not much, because most Facebook ads you see out there are essentially where you've got like two lines, all right? You got your image, and then you've got your below creative headline, and then you've got your button over here, learn more, see more, get offer, buy now, whatever, right? And so then you've got you and some kind of trinket or something going on in here because, at least hopefully people by now know that you should be posting pictures of people in your ads because it's a social platform. But actually a lot of businesses still try to rely on graphic designers, which is not really translated to the platform. Sure, it can work, it just doesn't work as well, and it's not sustainable for the algorithm long term, okay? So I'll get into more of that here in a minute, but I just want to continue walking you through this. So most people see this ad, and it's nice and short, because the idea is obviously to get the click, the cheapest possible click. And then from here, they let their landing page, their sales page, funnel, whatever it is, do the rest of the selling. So what that looks like traditionally is the mode of thought is, 5 to 10% of your, and that's being generous. So let's say 5% of a person moving towards a buying decision is just from the ad. It's kind of indicating interest. Hey, I like that. I want to check that out. I want to know more. I'm a little curious, right? So that equates to accomplishing about 5%. And then what has to happen is they have to click over to your site, and then your funnel has to do like 95% of it between your funnel, your landing page, and the email follow-ups, right? So it's more like 95% over here. And what happens is, let me explain to you how that works with the Facebook algorithm. You've got Facebook users that, the reason I have this chocolate chip cookie here is this is a Facebook user, right? And within a Facebook user, Facebook, at last time we checked, it's probably even more now, but the last time we checked, every Facebook profile had over 400,000 data attributions. Now, what does that mean? That essentially means data points, where 400,000 different ways they can classify you, anywhere from visiting certain websites to taking these particular behaviors to buying these things to opting in for this stuff. Whatever the case may be, they have 400,000 different ways to classify you, all your likes and interests, and, all that stuff, right? So essentially that algorithm, which is artificial intelligence, right, is really smart, and it understands context, okay? It understands context. So that's a whole other thing I'll get into soon too. But if you've got this with one Facebook user, then here's what I would say we see happen. With your ad, you've got a couple lines, which you really can't do a lot of pre-qualifying for your ad to get a really good prospect, because it's just a couple lines. Well, what happens is, because that's the case and you can't pre-qualify them very well with an ad that's so short, which is the traditional way, right? But there's more in the Facebook algorithm that you can take advantage of. I'm going to show you that in a minute, but I want you to understand the basics. So what happens is, with this, you may get 5 to 10 data points, one little cluster somewhere. But those 5 to 10 across a lot of Facebook users is not very specific of a person that is pre-qualified. So as a result, because they're the ones clicking, even when you're optimizing for leads and such, which we'll get into, you're not getting a very qualified prospect. It just doesn't really happen. And because of that, ultimately, it means an unqualified lead, an unqualified prospect that's hitting your page, which means you cannot properly optimize. You can't get very specific to tell Facebook who to go find, okay? So because of all of that, it ends up having us have low quality prospects, no matter what you're optimizing for, because you're not doing a lot of pre-qualifying. You're not bringing them further along, right? You've got, because of this, relevance scores are lower. And on top of relevance scores are low, which is important, right? You got engagement is low. And most people kind of understand that, engagement is a big thing, but they don't understand how big of an actual thing it is when it comes to your posts and your ads, because Facebook ultimately favors the user experience over what you can bid and how much money you're bidding, or, in your daily budget or whatever. They don't care, because they won't compromise the user experience. So ads that have people spending more time reading them or watching them, and also commenting, engaging, clicking the see more to read if there's more text, all of those factors help automatically with your ads. Oftentimes we see CPMs, cost per thousand impressions, go actually very down, a long way, right? So essentially, this is kind of the old way. And so you've got, 5%, just to recap, you got you're doing about 5% of the work in your ad. And then all your funnel's got to do all the 95%. This is why those crappy numbers that you hear about, people telling you, your opt-in rate, if you're generating leads, your opt-in rate, you're good if you're between 20 and 30%. 20 and 30%? Are you kidding me? That's horrible. And I've been doing it for years and years and years, consistently averaging way over 50%, sometimes 60, 70, and upwards sometimes of 80% opt-in rates when I was generating leads. So why is that? Because it's a totally different concept on how to tell Facebook what you want and being specific with the right context, okay? So just keep this in mind, that that's not harnessing the power of the algorithm to work for you and do the heavy lifting for you. So what I'm gonna do is back this up for a minute, okay? And draw out for you more of a scenario that is what we've learned to do, standing on the shoulders of all of those traditional direct response marketers, but translating what we do a little differently. And I'll explain what I mean here as soon as I can get, well, let me just redraw that for you. All right, and just do that real quick, because I'm starting to get messy. So we're here, and the click is now not 5%. So here's what we ended up starting to do. We started to do a lot more of all of the message elements that were needed. We started to take a lot of the elements we use in our offer and put all of it on our post, right? So what happened is we ended up making ads that were, a couple lines, see more, and then the image. But then they click see more, and we've got ads, and then we got maybe a call to action link here. We got more text that's doing more pre-qualifying. We got another link. We got more text, and then a link at the bottom, right? And so then we have our image and all that below, right? So that's actually where what our ad looks like. Now, does it take more work to do that? Kinda. It's actually just taking what already is and just knowing what to put there. And we've got formulas and templates that have worked for that, and it's worked for our largest clients. We served as a transition agency for digital marketer in 2018 for over 7 months, and completely revamped and redid so much of their stuff, and got them on serious track, and added so much to the bottom line. And then we've done it for even one of our clients, Chris Greenwood, who is a music artist known as Manifest. And he also works with artists to develop their own independent businesses as artists, like their own independent, like without having a record label. So it's about being independent, right? Being an independent artist. So it teaches them how to do that, does coaching, has a few programs on that stuff, how to promote themselves, all of that, right? So we ran his ads, we consulted him, and literally it worked so well that he was featured by Facebook. And where you're seeing this video, if you're seeing it on our Facebook page, on our agency page, then you'll be able to look at one of the other posts and see the link to that Facebook sponsored article on Facebook.com with the success stories where they show what he's done. And so he was one of our clients, and that's just a couple of some of our high profile, big name clients. We've spent over $2 million in 2018 just hitting just as we were going into Q4. And this is all proven from that ad spend, and overseeing over $2 million in ad spend, and seeing the differences and understanding the algorithm. So just want you to know that this is not some kind of theory. This is actually tested at the highest level, beyond any shadow of a doubt that this works, okay? So this is what we do differently. We have a lot longer of a process, and let's say we start at the ad and we do this, where our ad, call it Epic Ad. It's an acronym for the way that we write ads, which is E, engage, P, present, I, illustrate, and C, convert. Long Epic Ads, okay? Long Epic Ads. And what this will do is, this will give us like 50 to 60% of down the way, because we're doing a lot of pre-qualifying. Now, what happens there when we do that? Because obviously on the other side, when they finally click, they only have 40 to 50% left to go. And oftentimes with lower priced offers, it's more like 70 or 80% of the ad, and we go directly to checkout pages. And this is with digital products. So stay with me. All right, so the funnel's over here, right? So when you do this allows you to get more specific and set more context with the right type of person that you can pre-qualify, that has the right pain points, the right aspirations, wants the right benefits, knows what that looks like, has the right objections in their mind that we can naturally overcome through the ads. And what happens is now the Facebook algorithm can get very specific with, let's say, 200 or 300 of these data points, right? It starts to identify more data points in common with a more specific person. Well, what does that do every time you're clicking the ads? It's allowing Facebook to optimize faster and stop showing the ad to less qualified people, and much quicker start showing the ad to more qualified people, resulting in a better quality lead or sale or whatever, and your cost may actually even be less. Now, the counterintuitive thing about this, right? You guys saw me write the counterintuitive reason is a lot of people are all about getting the click at whatever cost, right? Like they want to get the cheapest click right here. And obviously spending all this time to read, a lot of people would say, I might lose the click. They're afraid, right? It's this fear-based thinking where they're afraid to lose the click that they're not going to click because they're not going to read all of this, right? Well, for one, don't worry. We've got exit points for people who are impatient and don't want to read everything, right? And it's set up in a certain scientific way so that it's not too early, not too late. So we still have amazing click rates and click ratios. So all of that happens, and before long, it optimizes so fast with such a highly pre-qualified person that Facebook can now go find more of them. And trust me, guys, there's more traffic on Facebook than you can ever imagine. It's really not fathomable how much traffic is actually there. And when it knows who to look for, it's so much better, because even if you're paying the same amount as you would as a cheap unqualified lead, that qualified lead is going to give you higher conversions and give you a higher customer value, because they are more pre-qualified coming through the funnel. And why is that? Because they're going to click over at a higher rate. They're going to opt in or click whatever's on the next page at a higher rate because they're more pre-qualified. They're a better lead or a better prospect. And because of those things, they convert better, which Facebook tracks your whole funnel if you've got a pixel on it. And they're tracking those conversion rates and how much people move through the funnel to the next page, how many times they click. And the higher conversion rates you have, the better relevance scores, the more they reward you with cheaper CPMs and priority placements going to the people that are more qualified. So I know it's counterintuitive to think like, wow, why do I want to keep them on the platform longer? Because when you keep them here on your post longer, it actually helps with the algorithm, and it says, oh, this is a great user experience for people. Let's show this to more people, because it is giving a great user experience. And they actually give you preferential treatment, even if you're bidding less than what others are. You'll get preferential treatment because, once again, Facebook favors the user experience for Facebook users, not the money that it gives you. It has plenty of advertisers, it has more than enough, right? So they don't care about the money. It's about the user experience. They don't want to compromise that quality of user experience at all. So what do? We provide a good user experience where we are doing a little bit of value, educating, saying all the things that we need to address so that people make decisions to move forward, but they are pre-qualified. This is just hands down a total paradigm shift in the way that it's done, and it's working so incredibly well. And it's funny because some people I explain this to actually just can't even grasp it. They actually don't get it. They actually think, I've been doing it this way for 10, 15 years. I'm not going to change now. But in fact, when we help them do something, it works so much better every single time. So all I'm telling you is this whole engagement continuum is key. And when you can leverage Facebook's algorithm with all these 400,000 different data attributions, there's more you can do here than you possibly know. So this type of methodology, this type of thinking about the algorithm, which is totally counterintuitive, I get it. Like it's literally diametrically opposed to traditional thinking to get the cheapest click, when in fact you don't care about the cheapest click. If it costs more, that's fine, because they're worth more, right? So you want to be able to pay the most amount for a qualified lead or click or prospect, because they're worth more to you. And you get to and then you can outbid your competition and pay more for a prospect and maintain and sustain on Facebook. And this is why when you do stuff like this, your ads don't burn out, because that's another issue, is people's ads burn out because they don't have a lot of engagement. They're not getting a great user experience, so they stop showing the ad. Everyone wonders why they have to refresh their creatives every week or two to keep it going. It's because most people are not doing this. So on this page, you'll see somewhere, either in the bottom of this post, we'll have a link to one of our latest webinars, because we're doing ongoing webinars live, where we're explaining and drawing this whole thing out. We also show a formula that we use that helps us make front-end sales directly to checkout pages for digital products, not e-com simple stuff, but like fully selling it in the newsfeed and making sales and making a profit on the front end. So if you want to register for that workshop, then what you'll notice is when you get on there, if you stay till the end, we'll actually give you one of those templates that we use to make sales in the newsfeed. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching this, and this is just the beginning. So make sure you get on that webinar and make sure that you watch the whole thing, because then we'll be giving out the template at the end, and it's worth it. Many people have used it, and we've got many testimonials. You'll see that, and look forward to seeing you there. So take care.